All right, guys, this is day 2 of writing systems of equations. Verbal description. Make sure you're answering the following questions and following along. And when you finish, you're going to work on the bucket. All right, so these are some notes. These are words that are commonly connected to the word equal. Is, are, was, those are things that represent the equal sign. So we might be used to writing equations like slope-intercept form from word problems, but now we're gravitating to standard form. So remember, most of our word problems, not often, but a lot of times are when it comes to systems, our word problems are going to be like A plus AX plus BY equals C, kind of in that standard form. In a way to kind of connect it is anytime we see same category, most of the time goes together, and you're going to see what I mean. So if I see like money signs, I know I need to connect, especially when it's like 4 numbers given. Unless it's straightforward when there's 6 numbers given, and you're going to see that. And then it might be problems like where they don't just kind of, they give you scenarios, and we're going to see both examples. All right, so first things first, I want you to go ahead and read this question. All right, Mag brought 5 hot dogs and 3 soft drinks at a ball game for $32.25. Manuel bought 4 hot dogs and 2 soft drinks for $24. Write the system of equation. Use to find X, the worth of hot dogs, and Y, the worth of soft drinks. So as we do this, I'm going to first underline my question. Write the system of equation. And then once I have my equation, a lot of times they will give you what your X value is and what your Y values. If they do not give you what your X and Y values are, it is okay for you to label it. So if they didn't tell me X was hot dogs, I could have just said X was soft drinks. But I have to make sure that for both equations that my X is whatever I started off. In this case, they gave it to me. X equals hot dogs and Y equals drinks. So in here, the first thing I'm going to do to kind of help me is I'm going to count my numbers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I usually like when my word problems have 6 numbers because I know that 3 numbers go to Magdale and 3 numbers go to Manuel. This is why it's important for that highlighter. So Magdale had 5 hot dogs, which is my X value, and he had 3 soft drinks, which is my Y value, and it equaled $32.25. So his equation would look like this. He had 5 hot dogs. What letter represents my hot dogs? X. And he had 3 soft drinks. So it'd be plus, because it's a total, 3Y equals how much he spent, which was $32.25. This is Magdale's. That's his equation. Now, moving along to Manuel. Manuel bought 4 hot dogs, which is my X value, and 2 soft drinks, which is my Y value. And he spent a total of $24. And I could leave it like that. This is Manuel. All right, so now I need to look at my equation. So they have the same numbers, but they have the wrong unit. So remember, X is my hot dogs, and Mag bought 5 hot dogs. So I know that this is completely wrong. The next one, it says 5, 3, 320, 4, 2. Okay, this looks possibly right. Let's see why D is not right. If I looked at the total cost, it's completely wrong. Mag spent $32.25, whereas Manuel spent $24. So the correct answer is C. All right, so again, kind of review. This is why we kind of going back. Those cubes are super important. All right, go ahead and work on this problem. Go ahead and solve it out. This when you don't have a word problem. You don't have a multiple choice, but you should still be able to solve it out. All right, so first things first, as I mentioned before, I am going to underline my question. And oftentimes it tells me what my X value is and it tells me what my Y value is. In this case, X is the corn dogs. X is the corn dogs. And Y is the soda, the Cokes. All right, so again, similar like I did before, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I love that because that means my equations are going to be kind of straightforward. I'm going to have an equation for Daniel, and I'm going to have an equation for Michael. So Daniel paid $3.10 for 3 corn dogs. What value represents my corn dogs? X. And then he bought 1 Coke, which is my Y value. So go ahead and write what your equation would be. Perfect. You should have had 3x plus 1y is 710. I would prefer if you put it like this. That is perfectly fine as well. Michael, he paid 7, so he's paying in total $7.20 for 2 Cokes. This is how they try to trick you. 2 Cokes is not your X value, it's your Y value. And he bought 4 corn dogs, which is my X value. So it will be 4X plus 2Y equals 720. All we're doing is writing. Next week, we'll be doing solving. So solving requires us to write and solve. So this is why it's important that we're going over this. All right, so the previous 2 questions you saw where it was 6 numbers. Airport Shuttle Company owns sedans and have a maximum capacity of 3 passengers and vans that have a maximum capacity of 8 passengers. Their 12 vehicles have a combined max capacity of 61 passengers. Write the system of equation used to find the price of each sedan and van. Okay, so going back, I see 1, 2, 3, 4. So I cannot say, oh, this equation goes with this one, this equation, no. I have to focus on where do I see similar, same category. So where do I see the same unit? So first things first, I always say, like I said, I'm going to underline the question. Write the system of equation used to find the price of each sedan. So see, they did not tell me what is going to be my X value, what is going to be my Y value. It does not matter what your X and what you label it, unless it tells you in the question. So I'm just going to say sedans are my X values, vans are my Y values. X is sedan, Y is van. Again, I do not, unless my word problem says it, I just have to make sure that if I'm using X for the for sedans for the first equation, the second equation have to be the same thing. Next, I am going to look at where they have the same unit or same category. In here, I see 3 passengers because that's a sedan. And then a van has a max capacity of 8 passengers and then a total of 61. So that means that this equation, one equation will have 3, 8, and 61 in it. 3, 8, and 61. So each sedan has 3 passengers. So that means 3 times X is the same for each sedan. Plus, each van has a max of 8. So each van has 8 passengers. In a total, it should always be 61. A way to remember it is 3, 8, 61. The larger number should be the total, should be the equal amount. All right? And now it says their vehicles, they're 12. So let's do a different color. Let's do orange-ish. There are 12 vehicles combined. So that means there are blank sedans plus blank vans equals 12. So X plus Y equals 12. The number, a little trick, the number I did not use in the first equation, meaning it was a completely different category, it will be in an equation where it's similar to X plus Y oftentimes. So again, I always tell my students, find first the numbers that have the same category. So we looked at 3 passengers because that was a sedan. We looked at a van because it was 8 passengers. And then we saw the word 61 because that was a total number of passengers. And then that number I did not use, but I circle it, I'm putting it in the x plus y equals whatever that number is. Okay? Go ahead and start on this one and solve it. Or just write the equation, I'm sorry. Okay, so going back again like we said before, write the system of equation used to find the price each mug and keychain. So another one, it does not tell me what my x value is. Each mug, let's make it x. Each keychain, let's make it y. So Axel purchased a total of 28 coffee mugs and keychain. Each mug cost $6. Each mug cost $6, and each keychain cost $3.15, and he spent a total of $220. So that is, I see money, money, money. That is going to be in one equation. Let's write that equation. So each mug costs $6. So we know that it'll be 6 for each mug, which is our x value, or if you had it as y, that's perfectly fine. Each keychain is $3.15, and it'll be a total of $220. Or if you wanted to put it like this, 315x plus 6y equals 220. As long if you put that, so that means you put x equal keychain, y you put it as mug. That's up to you. You just have to make sure your previous equations match. All right. Then it says he purchased a total of 28 coffee mugs and keychain. That means if I add up my coffee mugs, my keychain, it should be a total of 28. It should be a total of 28. All right, so sometimes they don't always give you, sometimes they give you problems where you have to do a little bit more critical thinking. You have to kind of break it down. So Edwin's Christmas list has had 3 more than twice, that number twice means 2, as many items than Kimberly's list. Kimberly asked for 8 fewer items than Edwin. Write a system of equations to identify items that were on Kimberly's and Edwin's Christmas list. So let's just start with Kimberly. Let's start with Kimberly. So Kimberly asked for 8 fewer. If she asked for 8 fewer, what does that mean? Than Edwin. So Edwin is y. So 8 fewer means minus than Edwin's. So here it says Edwin represents our y value. So Kimberly's equation can be y, because that's Edwin, minus 8, which is just y minus 8. Because Kimberly asked for 8 fewer items than Edwin. We don't know what Edwin has. So we're just going to put it as y. You could have put it as y minus 8 or 8 minus y, whichever is easier for you. That is Kimberly's equation. Whereas Edwin has 3 more than twice as many items than Kimberly. Twice as many is a multiplication. So it's like 2 times. And Kimberly represent 8. So Edwin's equation would be 2x more than is plus 3. Or you could have put 3 plus 2x. So again, going to this problem, I am just breaking it down. I don't know what Kimberly has. I don't know what Edwin has. Instead of saying the number, instead of saying, oh, Edwin has 25, I'm just going to say y. He has y minus 8. That is Kimberly equation. So a lot of it has those vocabulary words that you kind of break it up into parts. All right, I want you guys to go ahead and try this problem. This was actually one of our star questions from last year. All right, so looking at this question, the perimeter of a rectangle is 48 meters. And I know the formula for a perimeter of a rectangle is 2 times length times 2 times width. The length of the garden is y, so L is equal to our y, is 6 meters more than twice the width. Whew, that's spicy. So I know that the perimeter is 2x or I could do 2y, whichever is easy, because we're saying length is y. 2x, if I reverse it, it still be the same thing, is equal to 48, because that's my perimeter. That's pretty much saying 2 times the length times the width equals 48. So first things first, I'm going to look at my answer choices. They were nice and gave it to us. I could get rid of B, and I can get rid of D. Now I'm left with the second part, where it says the length, so it's L, in this case it's Y, because this is the length, is equal to 6 meters more than, so that's addition or subtraction, that's addition, twice, so remember it's 2 times the width. In this case, width is X. So my equation have to have a 2x and a positive 6. Looking at my answer choice, this is wrong. So the correct answer is C. All right. Make sure you have followed along. If you need to go back, I have linked the video into our notes. Go ahead and get started on the bucket.